What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your weekly astrology forecast for the week of July 19th through the 25th of 2021. Truly appreciate you for joining me. I have some time restraints today, so we're going to do this a little bit differently. I'm going to kind of just go through this week with the transits and the astrology, but I want to hit on something that we're about to be heading into as well. So a little different. If you do want the charts and all the dailies and all that, I go into those very deep on the website, fixedairmoon.com. $5 a month. You can get access to that as well as a weekly horoscope for every sun sign. You can use your rising. They're both sun rising horoscopes. All right. So we're going to finish up Cancer season this week. That's a big deal. We're going to see that sun come into Leo, be dignified. This is definitely a big shift. We're still going to have Mercury finishing up in Cancer, but having that sun come into Leo is a saving grace in a lot of ways because it's going to bring up a lot of courage. It's going to bring up a lot of authenticity. We have found deep layers of ourself that we have had to fortify, that we have had to restructure or get to the bottom of to make these changes, but we now have an understanding of where we're trying to go and take things, and it's very important to be in your heart. It's very important to express from your heart and to not have that flame snuffed out. Now, I say that because we have a full moon this week in Aquarius. It's going to meet at right on top of where Jupiter and Saturn met. It's going to be at 1 degree of Aquarius. Jupiter and Saturn met at 0 Aquarius on the solstice, December 21st. That's a big deal. The other big deal is we have 2 full moons in Aquarius this month. It's double Aquarian time. And with all the action that we've seen to Uranus, the U.S. solar return chart being an Aquarius rising, Uranus in the 3rd, T-squared by Saturn in opposition to Mars and Venus. And that rising for that chart is 29 Aquarius, which is where the second full moon will be. 29 Aquarius. This is a revolution that we are in right now. This is a time to fight. First house, Mars in square to Uranus, for truth, for freedom, for the people, and not so much the government. And mind you, we are in some big cycles here. Saturn, Jupiter, in Aquarius, thank God. But the other 2 big ones, Pluto, Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, Capricorn. There's so much restriction, so much control, suppression, manipulation from the institutions in our life, the governments in our life. There's a lot of hidden, dark stuff. And, some people just say that's all a conspiracy. These people are looking out for the best interest. But as an astrologer, I'm here to tell you they're not. And you can call me a conspiracy theorist all you want. But that South Node was there. Pluto in that mix. There's a dark, hidden, underworld force. And the Leo King has said this before, so I advise anybody to listen to David Palmer. He goes into great depth on all of this. That are trying to manipulate us on a soul level. This is a big time for this country. We are in the midst, working up to a Pluto return at 27, a Capricorn. That's going to be February 22nd, 2022. Lots of 2s, lots of change, lots of emotion. Pluto is deep emotion too. It is emotional impulse on the deepest of soul levels. I can't stress enough how important it is to be an individual, to be fighting for your rights, your values, and to not let the suppression of what's about to come snuff out your flame, snuff out your fire. It's not that time. We didn't come here for that. It's apocalyptic in a lot of ways, but it's also a rebirth. I can tell you right now, when I had Pluto cross over my sun, I had a rebirth. I almost died. It's crazy. Near-death experience. And I don't want to say that we're all going to have a near-death experience, but this country, even if you're not in America, if you are in America, this country is in a rebirth. And it's scary before it gets good. And I think it's important to really grab a hold of the integrity from within our hearts, to use the foundation we've built, to use the identity that we have, to speak truth, to be very blunt with truth, to not hide your light, to not hide your flame. The more of an individual you can be, the better. These are revolutionary times. We all signed up for a revolution and an apocalypse. And not everybody wants to hear that, and there's been a lot of numbing with Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces, and David Palmer's shouted that one out too. But he's 100% right. There's a numbing effect. And rose-colored glasses, everything's fine. I feel so good. It's pretty much consensus too among astrologers that Jupiter coming back into Aquarius is more lockdowns, more restriction. And I agree. And this is this Leo season where the sun's going to start to square Uranus. It's going to oppose Saturn and Jupiter. This is going to be a major test of your own light and your own courage. Now remember, the light, it illuminates. It shows truth. It doesn't hide things. Anything that's hiding in the background is not of the light. Anything that's right in front and you see it and they're coming out, that's of the truth. And if you're just, if you're just watching the TV and getting it, that's hiding behind a black screen, a black mirror. It's a spell. We have to be doing investigative work on ourselves. And I think it's important to realize that Scorpio has been getting pounded with all this energy. And that is some fearful, dark shit too. And we're all having to work through that fear in one way, shape, or form so that we can all rise up. This is a rise up moment. And I really wanted to just touch on that because the rest of this year is going to get weird in ways we've never seen before, in ways we never could have predicted. I think it can be great for the people in their truth, for the people that put in the work, for the people that didn't bite, that didn't take the spell, that knew their worth and their value and their individuality and their freedom and what they're capable of, their capacity to create and manifest. People are going to make it, but some people aren't because they gave their values away. They gave their soul away in a lot of ways. And that's one of the scariest things about this is it's a spiritual war. It's a spiritual apocalypse in so many ways that we're all kind of fighting for that value. And as Christopher Witecki would say, our soul capital. We're fighting for our unique individual soul capital that's trying to be stripped from us. And I just want you guys to know how important that is. It's a revolution. And this full moon on Friday is igniting the revolution. And as it comes back around to, I believe, August 24th, when we get another full moon in Aquarius at 29 degrees on that solar return ascendant, get ready for some of the craziest shit you've ever seen, never would have expected. And it's all good. You know what? And I would say some people can see it and feel it and they'll, do better. But there's going to be plenty of people in the world who are under such a spell, who are so stuck in an old belief system of what a government is, of what a government does, and how they just want to take care of us. They don't care about you. And I'm so sorry to say that, but it's just the truth. And you know what? I do want to say some people do. Not all people in politics or the government are bad people. That is not true at all. But the ones calling the shots, they were put in that position specifically for this job that they're doing. And it's dark shit. So I just want to put that out there this week. I'm doing something a little different this week. That seems important to put out. And I just want to shine a little light on that as we come into a time where courage is going to be demonized with the oppositions to Saturn courage is going to be demonized. And we got to hold our light. Anybody who believes that we can get through this and be an individual and be unique and make things better for this country in the long run, because it's a long haul. These Capricorn cycles it's a long journey. So we got to take the steps necessary right now to get ready deep within ourselves to make the long haul up Mount Capricorn and to get to the top as a unique, sovereign, independent being by protecting your value, your worth, and your individuality and what is actually better for the people, which is not what you're being told on TV. But I do believe people watching this channel know that already. Also this week, we're going to see Venus. Get back into the week a little bit. We're going to see Venus come into Virgo. It's going to oppose Jupiter at 0 Pisces. And it's going to be on Regulus. This is another purification of courage, where we kind of have to strip ourselves bare, look at our beliefs, look at what we're trying to do, what we're trying to expand, and does it have a service? Is it going to be for the betterment of people? Is it going to be for the betterment of Earth, for this whole ecosystem of life that we are all a part of? And I think we have to get very critical when it comes to our values, so that we're not just believing anything that we're told, and that we're looking at things with a very critical eye and using that reflection to decipher the truth in the best way that we can as individuals. I'm not saying that everybody has to have the same truth, but the best way that you can for yourself. And that's the win. That's the Regulus winning energy and the regalness that we're coming to as we come into Leo and as we exit Leo. So it's a very important time. We need to have that heart. We need to have that lion spirit. Otherwise, it's going to feel like a very, very strange and weird rest of the year. And that could be regardless. But again, I think if you're purifying your life for truth and of what actually connects dots in your life and makes sense, it can be quite beautiful. And I would say Venus in Virgo is a good reminder too that if you want the beauty, you got to put the work in to get it. You can't just dream it into existence right now, especially with all the Pisces stuff and the South Node in Sag. I'll just meditate on it and it will appear in my life. And you know what? Prayers are being answered right now. So I don't want to sound like that's not going to happen, but this is a work time. Like, this is important times to be here. And I feel it's important for me to put this message out here right now. And it's a little different. But I'm a very Uranian person, and I feel like in these times we all need to grab a hold of our Uranus within us to liberate ourselves and to set ourselves free and to take ourselves higher. And this great story that someone else is going to protect you or give you something that's going to save you is the biggest illusion ever created, possibly in human history. So, again, it's not like the work has to suck. It just has to be unique to you. And it has to be something that's purifying your soul and giving you courage and strength with the Yod to Mars in Leo and with the Sun coming into Leo. It's a very important time. I cannot stress the courage that we all need to stand up in some way or another in our lives. I don't necessarily mean everybody has to go out in the street, but in some way, shape, or form, if you're on the light, if you're on that side, this is a big moment where we all have to be courageous and stop shying away because of what other people might think, what other people might say. And I'll be the first to admit, as an astrologer, there are not many astrologers that feel this way. So I'm already alienated in that sense, and I have kind of kept my mouth shut a little bit. I mean, you guys, if you watch this channel, you know I say some things, but I keep it pretty inspirational, spiritual, which is my main, it is what is part of my mission and my message, but this is critical times. So it's a critical message to be more Uranian, to break out, to have courage, to look at truth. And with Mars starting off the week opposing Chiron, I mean, we're at a sensitive place where we got to be really, really like, I don't know if I said Uranus, but Mercury square Chiron in Aries. We have to be very honest with how we feel. And we have to be very honest with our truth and how we feel about our truth. And it's an important time to harness that, because there's a lot of wisdom in the courage to not alienate yourself or think that you're some weirdo because you're going against a narrative that is actually the weirdest shit ever. It's weird. And then we're going to have Mercury sextile Uranus in Taurus, Mercury in Cancer, which is extremely insightful. We're going to have great ideas come through our senses to show us how we can be more comfortable, to show us how we can communicate in a better way, in a more comfortable way, in a more understanding way, even a compassionate way with the Cancer aspect. But then there's Uranus, which there's not a drop of emotion in Uranus. So in a lot of ways, some of the greatest insights are in this time of 2 full moons in Aquarius, a Jupiter-Saturn in Aquarius, and T-squares central to Uranus. We have to kind of disconnect from emotion. And this is like that last bit of understanding of our emotion before we come into not a lot of water for a while, minus Neptune and Pisces. So it's about to get very real, very quick, very masculine energy, a lot of air, a lot of fire. It's going to be, we're going to see the whole thing get stoked up in a big way. And if we're going to lose ourselves in the emotional manipulation and propaganda, we're going to get sucked into that spell even more. So it's a time to disconnect, take a look, step out, look from a higher perspective, look from above, connect the dots before committing emotionally. And I think that that's going to be hard for some people, but it's the best way right now. The more Aquarian and Uranian we can be, and the more objective we can be in our own subjective reality by taking a step back and figuring it out on our own before just, okay, believing something, whatever it may be, the better. I think that's very important. And as we finish this week, we end up with Mercury in opposition to Pluto. And that's hard because I think people can go crazy. Like this is a very interesting time. People are going to feel like they could be having so many things ripped out from underneath them, or so many things that they thought were true that are not true. And it's going to be a big moment in our lives. But I think it's important to get down to the bottom of our understanding. Like this is the bottom line, is that opposition to Mercury. What is your bottom line? What is your truth and your foundation? And are you ready to stand on that and express your power and express your true inner knowing, your true inner knowledge, what you found, what you've accumulated? That's where the comfort's going to be at. But I think if we don't find that power of that true expression, someone's going to take that power from us and use it over us. So we're either going to be feeling mentally powerful or mentally powerless. And that's a great split in itself. I don't have much more time. I wanted to get this message out to you. I wouldn't say that this week is when all shit hits the fan, or even next week, although it could, but we're going to start to see the tower crumble even more as Pluto still moves backwards, stations direct, which it's going to station direct in September, and head on to America's Pluto for that return. Like, we are in the tower moment. We are in the apocalypse. We are in a revolution. And I want you to know you're all ready for it. And you all have what it takes to step up in your own way, in your own life, for the best that you can do, to be true to you, and to help uplift and light the way for others. And it's that time. So don't shy away from it. All right, I'll pull a card and then I gotta go. I really do love you all. I have so much love and compassion for everybody, but I have to be real with how I truly feel about where things are going. And if I'm not real and I'm not going to put it out there, then what am I doing this work? Ace of Cups. This is a new emotional beginning that is going to fill up our cups, that is going to give us the satisfaction we're looking for, but you have to have the courage to do it, and you have to have the emotional willpower to do it. I think our feelings are always very important, but I think it's important to start this journey of fulfillment with a little bit of detachment, just to make sure we have an understanding that we're going in the right direction, that God really is putting in front of us and not just taking the bait. So there's a little bit of discernment when it comes to emotion, because I would say that this is a very new journey that we've never been on in history. We can look back in history and see a few things, but nothing like this. You know, the United States has never had a Pluto return since it's been a country. And how it handles that is, pretty unseen. But I do think that it rises up, and I do think it gets back up, and I do think that the country holds its integrity that was built on freedom, liberty, and justice for all. And I know that there's a big narrative that doesn't exist, but even if it doesn't, we got to keep fighting for it, or it never will. And, remember, it starts with freedom. So we need to fight for freedom to go on this new journey that's going to bring fulfillment, but we have to get the can-do to get there. I want to give a big shout out to David Palmer, the Leo King. It's going to be his birthday this week on the 23rd, so wish him a happy birthday. Super cool. I'm sure he's going to put out some really cool stuff astrologically about what's going on. Also, shout out to Kepacha. His birthday's the 23rd too, so shout out to them. 2 birthdays for 2 dope astrologers. I appreciate them both so much. Shout out to Christopher Witecki. Love his stuff. Love his step astrology. Amazing astrologer. Amazing person. And Robert Phoenix. He's the man. If you guys don't follow Robert Phoenix and you're into truth and you're into a different perspective on what's going on, 15minutesoflame.com. Watch what he's got going. He also does a Sunday night Astro Live. I think it's called 11th House Media on YouTube. Great perspective. Super smart guy. Just looks at everything. He's a great investigator and tries to really take a step back and see what's going on. And definitely much love to him as well. All right. I love you all so much. I got to run. A little different. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll catch you next time. Peace.